All right, it looks like we are live and ready to close out the 4th annual PhysEd Summit hosted by ESPEChat. My name is Will, and I'll be your moderator today. And as always, we want to thank the PhysEdagogy crew for creating the PhysEd Summit and helping ESPEChat along the way. We're using a lot of technology during this session, and sometimes things go wrong. We are using the new chat feature this year, Padlet. So make sure you're on there if you're not already. If you have any questions or comments, use that chat feature on the Padlet, and I will pass those along to Andy. You can also reach out on social media using the hashtag ESPEChat or the hashtag PhysEd Summit. If we do have technology fail on us, which it will sometimes, we will use our Twitter and those hashtags to update the website as quickly as possible. We will also update the ESPEChat webpage so that you can get back onto the video as quickly as possible. Now, if you are using social media, make sure that you are tagging ESPEChat and the presenter at the same time. So use the little @AndyHare. And that way the presenter will see all of your comments as well. Now on to the show. So from all the way from Australia, we have Andy Hare. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Andy to introduce himself.
G'day, Will. How you going today, buddy?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Having a nice time?
I'm having a great time.
So big thanks to ESPEChat for having me on board for this PhysEd Summit. It's a great honour to be able to represent the PhysEd world. As Will said, I'm from Australia. I am teaching at Leopold Primary School down in Geelong, Australia, and have been there on and off for about 17 years, so really a massive part of the community down here. I have a strong desire to try and change as many lives as I possibly can for children to become physically active and follow their pathway into some style of activity in their life. And this little presentation today is going to give you an insight into how I'm working with classroom teachers in Australia and trying to connect them with purposeful PE. So I hope you like it. But before we go, Will, my pet croc, he's got a joke for you.
Does he now? All right, let's hear it.
Hey, Will, and g'day, PE world. Gee, Will, you are looking delicious tonight. Hey, Will, I've got a joke for you. My buddy in Florida told me this one. What do you get when you cross an alligator and a GPS?
I don't know. What do you get?
You get a navigator.
Oh.
Hey, have a great presentation, and I'll see you tonight for dinner, Will.
All right. Good luck.
I'm so sorry, buddy. He told me he was going to tell you a why did the chicken cross the road joke, not that one. I really apologise. Hey, team, let's get on with the show, making impact on your classroom teachers with purposeful PhysEd.
All right. Hey, I apologise about my pet croc there. Let me just flick back onto me for a sec. Hey guys, how are you? I just thought it'd be really, really cool to start with a little bit of technology that way, and I guess to really show you what is possible out there. It's a whole bunch of new techniques I've been able to use that really engages the kids, and that the use of Adobe and being able to bring characters in gets them away from seeing me all the time, but brings them into a little bit of cartoonish behaviour, which really they can connect with at home. This presentation, as I said, is all going to be about what you can do to power up your staff at your school, and also the impact that it's going to have at the flow on from home as well. So I feel very honoured to be able to bring the baton home for ESPEChat and really take it through to the finish line. And I hope you are as engaged as I am with this presentation. So I'm going to go back into my my slide now. And then we can continue where we are at. One of the things I thought it was, but over here in Australia, the Californian fires are on the news, and I thought that it'd be probably in our due diligence to be able to just spend a couple of seconds just to give thoughts for those that are really struggling. And as always, we tend to sit on a bit of a stool at times, and we see the great in everything, and every outcome that we come past. We do see the great in it all, but there are people struggling in California at the moment, and it probably really hit home the other night when our great friend Steph Cedino tweeted the posts with all the fires not far from her house, and for me, being so far away and really then seeing the impact of 14,000 firefighters trying to fight these fires to save people's lives and homes is very impactful. So while we're thinking about how we're going to boost up our schools today, I want you to spend just a little bit of time to think about those that are really struggling, from your heart. Team, I want to set the tone. So the tone is kind of where we're coming from and the underpinning values of what we look at, and what I guess I look at heavily, and how I set up the staff and the students and the parents and now the wider community of Geelong. And certainly looking at the PERMA model. And the PERMA model is to do with positive psychology, and looking, as it says there, the scientific theory of happiness. And there's no surprise in the world that I'm a pretty happy fella. And I think everyone's probably nodding there that's ever met me to go, oh, yeah, he's a fairly happy fella. And I'm a happy fella because I see the positives in everything, and I try and turn every negative situation as fast as I possibly can into a positive, because I love to be able to move on and upwards with everything. And the PERMA model just sat so perfectly in my theories and my way of being able to advocate my message. And it works like this. So we're looking at these 5 foundations. There is a sixth foundation that we're also adding into this, and I'll tell you about that one in a minute. But you can start anywhere you like. I'm going to start on positive emotions, and it's feeling good. So you're surrounding yourself with everything that is making you feel amazing, and everything that is making you feel good right through life. And that really gravitates, especially children, it gravitates children to actually having a great time and a great experience. The engagement is finding your flow. So you're finding something you're passionate about and you can dig deep into. I kind of look at it like the analogy, I guess, my Ironman triathlons is exactly that. I find the flow in that because it drives me for a good 6 months to be able to train for one event, and that flow really starts to allow me to reach smaller goals to be able to get to that end goal. And it's the same thing with our children. We don't come in the first week of term and try and teach them everything they need to know in that week for physical education for life. We actually spend their life as a student and build that life as a student to actually give them the confidence, competence, and motivation to get out there and be something and someone. Relationships is your authentic connections, those that are really going to add value in your life, and those that are really going to add the necessities that what you need. There's going to be people that you need to love. There's going to be the people that you need as strong friends. There's going to be people that you need as sounding boards. And having those connections is really, really positive. And that's a school. We have staff in our school that we have connections all over the place. And I know myself, I have a staff of 65, and a lot of them are wonderful people, and a lot of them I'll never have dinner with because they are colleagues that in a school environment have a purpose, and vice versa. The same feeling goes the other way. But then there are some that I need in my pocket every single day of the week, and those understandings are really important. Having a meaning as well, like the purposeful existence, it probably didn't really connect with me up until about 10, 15 years ago, that my purpose in life was to make sure that I gave my knowledge and my wisdom and my energy to as many people as I possibly can. And on average, I see about 25,000 kids a year through the different programs I'm involved in. And I try and give them something that they can take away, and a little bit of happiness. And my friend Sean DeMorton and I have a little challenge at the moment. We're playing the gotcha game, and if those that were at EPEW will actually know this game, that we're standing up. You've got a flat hand, and then you've got a finger in it, and you're trying to pull that finger while someone catches your finger. So our little challenge is that we're trying to see what is the largest crowd we can get going with a gotcha game. And Sean's leading at the moment with about 850. But I've got a surprise for him coming up with a larger crowd. But that meaning and that purposeful existence really gives and sets the tone for our children to know their place in the world. And also our last one is achievement, so the sense of accomplishment. And this is sometimes one that's always forgotten. And I need kids to be able to brag, and I need kids to really stand up in front of others and say, you know what, I actually did something amazing today, and I want to tell you about it. And you know, we have this tall poppy syndrome in life, which really sucks. You know, we have people that want to share how great they did on the weekend, or how great they're feeling about something. But as soon as they do, then others will actually knock them down. And that's a real hard thing, and a hard fact to come to life with. But what we want kids to do is we want to have them so empowered that they actually don't care. They want to brag anyway. And that's where our ultimate aim is to give kids the confidence to be able to stand up in front of others and say, I am so good because I've just done this. And this can be anything that they are feeling so healthy about. Which leads me to the number 6. And the number 6 doesn't sit on the PERMA model at the moment, but it's health and well-being. And it's really just being able to get ourselves into a position where we're feeling healthy and very happy about everything that we possibly do. So that, I thought it was really imperative that I spent a little bit of time talking about that, because that is the underpinning nature and the underpinning notion of my work so far. And it fits my personality to a T. Okay, so our impact, I'm imagining there's probably 200 people out there today. Live, there might be about 10. I think at the end of the day, you know, people have gone off. If it's nice and warm, you're at the pool. Hopefully the iPhone's out. But let's have a look. If we get 200 viewers and you were all teaching 500 kids, and you take one idea from today, we're going to actually influence 100,000 kids in the next few weeks, which is fairly powerful. If we're lucky and this blows up to 1,000 viewers, that you know, over time it might, then there's 500,000 children that are going to be able to be really tuned in and have their teachers really inspire them with what we're trying to do as educators. The People Project is something I was really passionate about, and this leads us to, I guess, that entrenchment into classroom behaviour. So the People Project was a research project I did for Dr. Dick Telford last year. And the People Project centred ourselves in and around being able to work with classroom teachers to empower them into physical education and physical literacy, and having them understand that if we get the kids to move, we'll actually get the kids engaged a lot more, and we'll get the kids understanding that story. But I guess in essence, the title of it, and if we summarised it, was trying to create movement-based classrooms. And what we studied was, in the Look study, which was a study by Dr. Dick Telford many years ago, and it's still ongoing, is that they did a study and they worked out that if they put as little as 60 minutes of extra physical education into a children's diet once a week, then the risk of type 2 diabetes and obesity actually started to reduce. And that was absolutely massive, because those two things at the moment are a massive killer. What they also found is the mental illness started to reduce as well, because children started to feel a lot more positive about who they were. Now, that was unbelievable. So I worked with 16 schools right across the Geelong area, and we looked at these different things. We looked at physical education lessons. So is the teacher, the classroom teacher, are they actually equipped to go out and teach a physical education lesson rather than a physical activity lesson? So was there a focus? Where was the fundamental motor skills enhancement? Was there positive connections happening? Were there relationships built inside of that? Could they tell a story? Now, they didn't have to write that lesson. They picked up the PE teacher's lesson and replicated it. So the kids actually had 2 of the same lesson in the week, which really empowered the child. The second one was there time for the kids to develop sport? So here in Australia, we play inter-school sport. During the week, kids will get 1 to 2 hours of sport-specific training inside school time in a sport that they have chosen. And then some schools will play every alternate week against another school. Other schools will have a gala day where they'll come together and play in that sport, and they'll play multiple games in one day. So is there time for that? And was the classroom teacher skilled enough to be able to go, well, I'll teach football or I'll teach soccer? And if they weren't, then what we'd do is we would actually train them up. The third one, which is really a passionate one for me, is the daily physical snacks. Anything between 1 minute to 10 minutes of quick activity that will actually empower a child to actually change their focus, to be able to get refocused about something. What we sort of asked the teachers to do is to really use this sparingly to start with, so it didn't get overused, but also to use them right before a focus was about to be taught. And that really worked beautifully, because it charged up the kid's brain. And it got the kids thinking and moving in a different way. So when they came down and the teacher was about to deliver a focus, kids were actually a little bit more switched on. And what we found was that this had the best impact, because teachers found that they didn't have to stop for an hour. They could actually do this in multiple times during the day. Steve Reifman, I was just reading his book at the moment called Rocket, and inside it he pays tribute to a couple of educators, and what he said is one of the biggest things in there is the environmental address. And the environmental address is simply described as, if a child is writing a story, we ask the children just to stop, grab their stuff, hop up, move across the room in a different way. So it might be sidestep, it might be doing a Mel Levenberg dance, but it's a simple relocation of where they are working and then starting again. And that might take 30 seconds to a minute. But what it did was enough to change the environment around to actually spark something else in the children, to be able to inspire them through that education. And the last one was tuning into literacy and numeracy. So anything you could possibly do to actually have movement games to be able to tune into literacy and numeracy. It might be giant hopscotch squares. It might be, I did a dance the other day with the kids with spelling words. So they were actually writing their spelling words with their feet to the Beach Boys in class. And anything like that was really empowering. So our job was to really advocate for where we are. And if we stop for a second, we stop this whole presentation, we shut it all down. What we're looking at is those that are probably watching this are probably physical education advocates, teachers, people that just have a real passion for this field. What we forget is that we are one person in the school. If we keep our message to ourselves, we can only influence the children when they come to us. And if they come to us once a week, then that's 1 hour a week if we're lucky. If we miss that day, then once every 2 weeks. But if we start to spread this message around our school, and we start to empower our classroom teachers in how to move and how to get flowing and get actively involved, we start to build up those minutes. And what we want to see is, we want to see children moving for at least 3 hours a week, 180 minutes at least, to be able to give them a chance to be able to develop these skills effectively in life, but also develop habit. That habit then takes them through to their workplaces when they get into realms like us. So this is where we were. We were all over the place. We had 6,000 children in 16 schools. Now, I was the only one. So I was run off my feet last year, but I loved it. And my location is about number 10, right in the middle of the map there. That's about where I live. The number 15 is about 20 kilometres away. As you can see there on the key. Number 8 is about another 20 kilometres away from where I live. So I was able to get around all those schools over a course of 1 to 2 weeks and see everyone once or twice, or 1 or 2 hours. Some of the things we have to look at, we've really got to focus in on this. This was obviously a slide from the Canada Sport for Life and the Active for Life. And the physical literacy infographic is really telling us that, look, the physical competence, the confidence and motivation to actually move is what we're looking at, and is empowering kids and empowering our little superheroes. And this is critical, because if we can embed this into everything we possibly do, and we keep this at the forefront of our mind, and we embed this into the classroom behavior, the more we do this, the more we're going to be able to give children the opportunity to get out, get about, and get real in life, and give them the opportunities to be able to really own what is coming up ahead of them, because we can educate them as much as we can until, you know, we're elementary, primary teachers. We've got to the moment they move to high school. I get kids to grade 6, and then when they go to high school, kind of scratch my head all the time, because, you know, sometimes the high schoolers don't sing from the same hymn book, and they don't tell us the same stories, and the kids' learning stops to a certain point. They get to tell their own story, the high schoolers there, but we need this to be able to be entrenched in everything we do, to be able to give kids the competence to move, the confidence to be able to believe in what they can do, and to be able to take that, and then the motivation to be able to apply it and get it moving forward. And they're going to have that learning growth. And this never stops either. I'm about to consider going rock climbing. And I did it when I was a little kid, and I haven't done it for a long time. And I'm a little bit nervous at the moment. And the nervous simply comes from the confidence. You know, the confidence is probably down. I've got the motivation, and the physical competence. I've got to start learning that skill again to be able to climb vertically and horizontally while I'm up there as well, and then on different angles. But you never stop. And that's the biggest thing we want to tell kids, is this is not something you're going to learn. It's going to finish. It's actually going to continue right through your entire life. In the classroom, there are barriers that exist. And through my work in the last couple of years, I've really looked to try and strip away any barrier of existence that a classroom teacher says the big words, "I cannot." Because that is the common language that our reluctant teachers will use, because there is a heavy workload for them. And I feel for classroom teachers, but everyone's got a heavy workload. So we look at trying to not do a stop-start program. We actually try and look at embedding the existence of this through a number of ways. And one of them is empowering teachers, and empowering teachers through knowledge, and knowing that the more we can hit fundamental motor skills, the more that they'll actually assist with the physical education, but then give the kids those skills to be able to go, you know what, I can actually balance, so I can do this. I can jump, so I can actually do this. And getting the teachers involved in these experiences through curriculum studies is the key to actually being able to empower the whole school up and empower an entire community. So when we look at the categories of fundamental motor skills, we're looking at the balance skills, movements where, you know, body remains in place, but, you know, moves around its horizontal and vertical axis. You know, the locomotive skills such as running, jumping, hopping, galloping, ball skills such as catching, throwing, kicking, underarm rolls, striking, and there's quite a few more as well. My favorite ways to engage there are dance, move, educate, and empower. So using a combination of all those things to get the kids to dance, to get them to move through the classrooms, to educate them in how to move, and into empowering them by actually giving them an advancement of different things. So there's a few things I'll show you later on that I've been able to do, which is pretty cool, and what we're actually getting the classroom teachers involved in as well. So my structure at the moment is that I work as PE, but I've also got time in the classroom with the classroom teachers. So when I go in and it's called the physical literacy program, I'll set up key little activities for the classroom teachers to be able to be involved in. But the classroom teachers and the students actually are in the same lesson. So the classroom teacher doesn't see me coming in and then move away for their own time. They'll actually be involved in that as well. So it empowers them up and maximizes the opportunity. And it is 1 to 2, 3, 4, 5 minute little activities that they can use multiple times across the week. Last week was probably the first time, I've been doing this for 6 months with my school at Leopold Primary School, but last week was the first time where I had a teacher go, "Oh, I can use that." And I'm like, "Oh, I've just broken through here." And it was the most glorious moment, I think, of all year, because all of a sudden I've just gone, yes, it's a breakthrough. We've broken those barriers down, and the teacher's gone, "I can do that." And what it was the Beach Boys song, Surfing USA. And we had the kids actually had a word of the week, and it was prep kids. So you know yourself, if you can make it work with preps, you can make it work with anyone. And it was the word have. So have's got a silent e at the end. So we're getting the kids to actually do different actions as the music's playing, and writing the words with their feet on the ground. And then the teacher at the end said, "You know what, I can actually do that, and I can use that multiple times." And I said, "Of course you can. You can also do it with numeracy." And I was actually just using words when I'd go into the room. So I had 7 classes, and I was using what I saw on the board. And after recess, I went in, and a teacher was doing maths, and it was the numbers 11 to 20. So I've gone, wow, we can do this with the numbers. So instead of the kids writing a word, they wrote the numbers with their feet. And it was a really cool thing. I'll post the video at a later date. All right, so a few little practical tips. We're looking at what we can do before school recess and lunch. Providing fun. I haven't made a spelling mistake there. So fun is functional understanding, not necessary. So kids being able to come to somewhere, as we've got here, they're picking up the ducks, they see a bucket, they go, "Oh, I might just throw this into the bucket." So we don't have to explain a lot. The kids can actually be empowered by doing and getting involved, and allowing play as well. So multiple opportunities to really empower. And that is the best thing about it, is that we're giving kids the opportunity to have multiple exposures to physical activity. These kids, you can see the backpacks are on, parents are hanging around. They've just come across the school crossing first thing in the morning. We've got at the moment in a little bit of discussions about doing some musical walkways like James Corden, and but doing it with song. I've just got to be a little bit careful though, because kids, we might be a little bit distracted on school crossings where there are vehicles as well. So the idea is great, but sometimes the idea has a bit of risk to it that we don't want to put our kids in. But providing these opportunities before school, recess and lunch actually adds to the value of minutes. And minutes are critical, because the more minutes we can give kids the opportunity to be involved in, the more they become confident, competent, and motivated. So you can see the cycle of physical literacy really powers up. Giving the kids a chance to move, giving the kids a chance to actually be involved in physical activity in normal movement patterns. So these 3 girls were demonstrating a hallway movement for me. I'm going to show the hallway.
Good. You don't have to jump the hallway down there. You can start walking on a couple if you like.
So this hallway came from an idea I saw up in Canada with a child with I don't know whether the child had special needs, but it was really to empower a different movement pattern in a school where we had kids that just needed extra little movement activities coming out in class to be able to get the wriggles out of them a little bit. And so I laid it down, and the greatest thing was the child came out of the room as I had laid those 3 yellow lines down straight away without any instruction. He's gone, wow, laser beams, I need to cartwheel over the top of them. So straight away he was empowering himself by making sure he moved in a different way, going down that hallway. Now, there are different patterns they can move on those lines. So currently we have the green lines are kids moving backwards. The yellow lines, I think, were jumping on or over. The red ones were leaping. The blue ones were toe taps. The white ones were to move forward. And I think that's all the colours I've got. But what we're now finding is that because it's a program where the kids are moving through the hallways in different ways, it's sneaky fitness and sneaky phys ed, sneaky locomotive skills, giving kids a chance to be able to engage in physical activity through their environments. And I've got 5 areas at school which I've now completed, and as they build up the school, the challenges become a little bit harder. So we're building in a few different things where there's a couple of breakaway ideas as well, and that learning readiness PE with Paul Zentaski. I know I've said his name absolutely wrong there, but that learning readiness PE where kids can come out to do some physical activity before they're ready to hit a focus. And some of our students really need that. They need that engagement, that power up to get the wriggles out. But at the same time, I'm setting up little task cards around them so kids can get out there and they can pull a task card. And it might be, I know in one of my grade 3 areas, I've just got a whole bunch of different coloured stripes like this in a 10 centimetre little slips all over the place, and the task cards might be, okay, hit all the red ones, so the kids have to run and they have to try and tap all the red ones with their feet. Or it might be find the pattern red and blue, so they've got to go red first, then blue, red, then blue, red, then blue, red, then blue, red, then blue. So it starts to evolve a different little structure for these kids, and they can work with their classroom teachers through that. Oops. Let me pause that. Let me go back. Sorry, guys. This was another one that had a lot of power, and it was something very, very simple, but it was something very, very, very effective. And the very, very effective one was it gave our children and our teachers especially an opportunity to recognise how kids were feeling before they came into class. What I recognised so much was that as a physical education teacher, I'd see so many kids a day that I would not recognise sometimes that a child was feeling sad, and that would actually ruin their experience for that hour. And if it ruined their experience for an hour, then they've lost that opportunity to move. If they haven't, if they're not engaged in sport or anything like that outside of physical education. So I need to recognise who those kids were without actually asking them, just so I could keep an eye on them and just to see whether something was there that I wasn't really picking up. So we created this check-in, and I know I've shown this a little bit, but if you haven't seen it, you're going to see it again. The kids just start coming through, and you can see there are a couple of pranksters that go through the sad face because they walk a different way, but you can see the movement patterns as they come through the blue.
The question real quick, people want to know, what do you do with kids that run across the sad face? Do you get them right away, or what do you do?
Yeah, great question. I'm glad you asked that, because that's one that comes up all the time. And what we actually do with that is we allow that child to show where they're at to start with. So, do they, after our setting up the provocation and setting the tone, do they get involved, or do they sort of skip to the side? If they get involved, I'll let them go for a bit longer, because sometimes working with their friends is better than talking to the teacher. If they skip to the side and they sort of are that lone ranger that doesn't find their way in into a group or something like that, then I know there's something that that they need to chat about, and we'll often either have a chat and try and work out what might be upsetting them, or we'll actually get them involved in a leadership role. So it might be working with me, being my equipment manager, getting involved in a couple of the other little groups. Quite often they don't want to get into a group because there is something that is upsetting them with that. What I try and do is I try and get them to a point where they're feeling a lot better after PE, but at the same time we have a conversation with the classroom teacher. These kids come to school with so much baggage, and this baggage, if it's undetected, builds up, and it builds up at recess time. And let's face it, guys, kids are cruel. And if they know a child's feeling a little bit upset, and they know that there's something that they would think is funny but really hurts that child, then kids will actually pick on that, and it'll exasperate the problems. So we as educators have a right, a responsibility there to be able to find those kids and really try to determine what it is that they're upset about, and try to rectify that in some way. But if not, to be able to pass that information down the chain to who comes next, because we don't want a teacher reacting to a child that is feeling down, and to create a bigger problem as well. So that's kind of what I do with that. This is the first time, and I thought I'll save this for this session. So this is the first time I've actually released the data. I was going to 20,000, but I couldn't wait. I wanted to release it with this conference. I've got 18,000 steps through that door this year. I have 800 kids a week come through that. So you can sort of do the numbers and you can work out how long I've been at it. I videotaped every class that comes through it just with their feet. And then bit by bit, I was able to dissect all the data. And the data shows me that 65% of kids are coming through the class happy. And as you saw that video, you'd probably agree, yeah, the majority of kids coming through happy. 21% are coming through feeling okay. So they're neither happy or they're not sad. They're just, they're okay. And, I'm okay with them being okay. I'm not too concerned about that. But what I am concerned about is 14% of my kids coming through in that time. So this is around 20 weeks. So in 20 weeks, I've had over, I think it was 2,500 kids have come through SAD. And that's a lot of kids and a lot of footsteps that have gone through. I was actually really surprised with that. So a few years ago, I'd probably go back 5 years ago, I would say that I maybe would have had probably 800 kids out of 18,000 would have come through SAD, but our clientele has changed. And with that comes a lot of different issues. So I need to address that, and I need to address that in terms of what I'm doing as a teacher. I sometimes can't be as hypo as my mentality wants to be, because these kids coming through SAD won't respond to that. What they'll respond to a shutdown process of that, because they're not in a position to be able to deal with a hypo teacher. So I have to change my way depending on how many kids are actually reacting and coming through in that environment. So the data is really, it's telling me a story, and telling me a story that that across the school we need to have a wider appreciation of what's happening. And so I'm about to try, and I've actually ordered them from China, and I'm getting all the same mats done and placing them in classrooms, because I want the classroom teachers to recognise what's happening as well. So when they come to PE, we might see a reduction in those sad faces, because the classroom teachers have been able to nip things in the bud when the kids arrive to school. They haven't actually had to wait till they get to Mr. Hare before they get out and about. In the classroom, so don't worry about the percentages there. That's just an infographic. But we're looking at these things, and we're looking at movement curriculums. We're looking at connections. We're looking at physical snacks. We're looking at movement breaks. What we've got to appreciate is all of this probably only makes up about 10% of the classroom teachers' priority. A classroom teacher's priority is curriculum work. And that curriculum work comes in many different forms, and many are motivated in many different ways. But what we've got to appreciate is they have a massive slice of the pie, and we're trying to fit in maybe 10% of the week to slice into that, to form part of that for them. It comes through a lot of professional development and a lot of trying to change the ways of our educators to be able to think, okay, now I've got to embed this into my practice, but it's not something extra, it's something a part of, and trying to not overweight them in terms of what they are feeling as classroom teachers, because every classroom teacher today is working probably 1,000 times harder than they did 10 years ago, with the expectations and the outcomes of what everything needs. This is a sample of what I do. So I've got another one of these coming out tonight. So this is for every classroom teacher that's part of the program. This is their little script for the week. So we connect, so a little icebreaker, the gotcha game. I send them a link so they've got the PDF, any instructions, express. So the kids get to express themselves through a physical snack, a little 10-minute workout, my hyperlink where all those are. And, you know, the physical snacks are great. We're going to do one a little bit later, but it's made up into 1 or 2 or 3 rotations. So a teacher can go, right, I've only got 3 minutes, I'll just do 1 rotation, and building that through. We create. So last week we did a 1-minute beach party using the Beach Boys song, and we built that through into lots of different levels. We started by swimming. We then brought in, because we're doing basketball or bouncing in junior physical education at the moment. So we then brought it in with bouncing rather than surfing. And then we brought the literacy and numeracy into it as well. So we were able to connect the kids with something that was fun, then into academic studies, which gave the teacher the empowerment to be able to go, whoa, I love that. And then we reflect. So a reflection track. So our reflection track is simply, if you think of an athletics track and you think of a classroom block. So I'm thinking of I've got a classroom block with a hallway, and in that is 8 classrooms. On the outside of that is a great spot to have an athletics track. So that's my reflection track. So the kids will come out of the room, they'll jog, they'll walk, they'll talk about what the classroom teacher wants them to talk about. Up and around the track, they might go twice around and then back into the room. And that's so much better than the kids sitting on the floor and the teacher actually delivering all the messages. Because, you know, we move, we talk, we move, we get creative. And what we have to do is we have to show how this actually works from a perspective of a classroom teacher's lens. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, so this is the physical snack. So we're actually going to do this now. So I was just watching Mel Levenberg before, and I was thinking about a few different things. And this is going to go for about 5 minutes. So I want you to hop up. I want you to get involved, and I want you to do it with me. Now, if you do it with me, I'm wearing my Mr. Hair PhysEd shirt at the moment. Let me come out of this slideshow for a second. So I'm going to steal Mel's idea, and Mel can hurt me later on about it. But check it out. So Mr. Hair PhysEd shirt. All right, if you can tweet yourself doing a physical snack, I will send someone the shirt at a later date. And you'll be able to wear this shirt when you're teaching phys ed, or if you want to, you can just use it to clean the car and do whatever you want to do. All right, so let's get yourself in a position where you're feeling comfortable. It's not hard. It's actually a really good little workout, and it's going to give you a chance to warm up a little bit. I'm absolutely frozen. It's 8:45 in the morning. It's only like 5 degrees outside. All right, find yourself a nice little spot. This one was built for our conference. You won't need any equipment. If you have a soft teddy or a soft tennis ball, that's all you'll need. Our intensity meter tells us how hard we're going to work. We're not going to work too hard. And today's challenges. So have a look at our challenges today. Our first one is skipping without a rope. Each one goes for about 45 seconds. The second one is catch and clap. So we can do it with a ball. We can do it without a ball. Third one is our flash boxing. All right, so here we go. First one, skipping without a rope, 45 seconds on when the music starts. feels the way I do about you now. Right, let's go. Oh, 30 seconds, I revised it for you. So we do one cycle of all of this. Best thing about skipping without a rope, you can never hit your ankles. A little bit of crossover happening. Today is gonna be the day that they're gonna throw it back to you. Right, 7 seconds. By now, you should have somehow realized what you gotta do. Good, so we're using the high intensity interval training model. Next challenge is catch and clap. So if you've got a ball, you can throw it up and clap. If not, just pretend. Visualization is one of the keys to success. A little bit of a French frozen. Seconds. 3 to go. All good. All right. And our last challenge is the flash boxing. So I've got these lights in my gym that I use, and I get the kids to shadow box, or they work with their partners, hands up, and a little bit of sparring. So you can see the intensity is about an 8 on this, or a 9. So let's go nice and hard. This will be our last one. Tell me where the freaks. Ten seconds. All right, all good. Well done. On that as well, that music was created for me from a French DJ who actually saw the physical snacks with one of her kids, which was so unreal about being able to do something in our own backyard, but then see it actually go around the world as well. So we've gone from school, now we're into the homes. So in our homes, one of the real empowering things is trying to follow what others have done. And others have done some amazing work. I have a love for Steve Irwin. I think Steve Irwin is an amazing person. And so I'm sort of following his motivation to be able to get what he believed into home. So let me show you this little clip.
Welcome to the Venomous Snake House. Australia, of course, is home to the most venomous snakes in the world. And these snakes in here, these are the fierce snakes. They are the #1 most venomous snake in the entire world. Come on, buddy. Have a look at this little beauty. This is about the same size as the fierce snake that I used in collision course. Beautiful specimen. Look at that. Have a go with this. Double whammy. Woo! Woo! 2 fists. They stay down, stay down. Hey, stay down. Look at that. Hey. You're all right. Back in you go. Might overstep the mark a bit there. Wouldn't want to take a whack off one of these. It'd kill you so fast, you wouldn't get time to blink. Well, hey. No. Come on now. You're a good snake. There you go. Good snake.
So the thing is, like with Steve Irwin's energy was so rich that he just made you want to believe and want to follow the same passion. And it's the same thing with us as educators. When we can get into the homes, that's why I built the physical snacks, because the physical snacks was something, the classroom teachers could do, but the kids could do it at home. And I would put them out on a Sunday afternoon, and by the time I got to school on a Monday morning, they were watched 100 times by the kids in class, which was pretty incredible. One of the other things, and this was yesterday, one of the other things I do a lot is I get onto the radio and talk about physical education. These 2 radio DJs, Andy and Ben, are actually 2 of my ex-students that I met when I was doing some work at a university. So this was yesterday's radio show and just advocating about physical education. I'll give you a listen first.
I was about to say my school. You must be loved to plug Lampard all day, mate. Just talking about kids and health awareness, like we said, walking home, the kids were involved. It wasn't just supporting homelessness. It was about the kids get involved in exercise as well. So they walked about 11K from Leopold into Geelong. Yeah. So getting kids excited about physical activity is what you're all about.
Oh, 100%. And I've just come back from a great trip overseas where we were talking all the time about kids being superheroes.
Yeah,
and every kid has a secret talent that they are going to unleash in the world somewhere, and we're not going to see it because being a superhero is always secret. You guys are you got your civilian clothes on now, you got your cape tucked under it, and the kids are going to instill that belief and have that desire to be able to come out and show that superpower when it's needed. Yeah. And that's, I think, the real powerful thing that underpins.
So getting into every nook and cranny to advocate is so rewarding. 800 kids at Leopold, but on the radio, I'm hitting a community. It's got 300,000 people in it. This message went onto the internet, so it's able to go out wide, far, and to hit as many homes as you possibly can, by giving the message to the parents what we're trying to actually teach the kids. So the continuation of our message is getting out there. Looking at the community, and the community is something that's really, really important to us, because empowering what is in the community gives our kids the chance to be able to take that understanding of I guess, physical literacy, that whole idea of physical literacy, and apply it somewhere. And City of Greater Geelong is where I live, and if you just I just did a search the other day, and I said what's on in City of Greater Geelong to be active, and I came up with a list of 20 things just this weekend. And I think that's one of the really empowering things, guys, is that there are opportunities out there other than things that we produce for our children. And what we as educators need to be aware of is what these kids need in their pockets to be able to get involved in the community. American football, it exists in my community, but it's not something that my kids are going to be involved in at school. So I'm not going to actually get that sport going at my school, because I'm going to sacrifice valuable learning time for something that they actually can't go to and be involved in readily. Whereas, little athletics or track and field is something that is actually prolific. So I'll spend a lot more time teaching them to run, to jump, to throw, so they can actually take those skills to be involved in little athletics and get involved in something. So it's a real critical element to get kids connected to what's happening in the community. My immediate town of Leopold has 6,000 children in it, and those 6,000 children have an opportunity to be involved in the local sports. So I try and really concentrate on that. Oh, there we go. It happened too quick. That's my contact details, guys. So I just made it really simple. YouTube at Mr. Hare PhysEd, Facebook, Twitter, it's all the same. So you just hit that to be able to see any more of the stuff I do, but also reach out, guys. My email's there. Send me an email. I'll email you back. I love talking to people everywhere and anywhere about everything. I'm just one of those guys that just loves to talk and just to connect with people. As I said, if you did do a workout, make sure you tweet your photo, and I'll send you a picture. I'll send you a T-shirt if you're one of the very lucky ones. I'm just going to skip out of this now, and I'll get back to me. But certainly, if you have some questions about anything, let's hit them up right now, because we've got about 5 minutes to go. How do we go, Will?
Sorry, I was going without mic. So we did have some questions. Everybody loved the physical snacks. They're ready for their T-shirt. You got about 10 people lined up. So you better deliver, or there might be some people after you.
Yeah, I know,
right? You answered, what do they do if they run across a sad face? And you mentioned that kids can be cruel, and do they get picked on if they get teased? How do you create a culture that it's okay to have a bad day?
Yeah, that's probably through that trust element, is that that we never really we don't identify kids having a bad day, but kids are having a bad day. We give them choice, and those choices are pretty much, you know, what do you want to do today? You know, this is what the lesson's about, but what do you want to do today? And so, sometimes all the kids want to do maybe is run the scoreboard, and that's okay.
All right. And sort of capping off that idea was, do you ever ask your students if their day got better after PE when they selected bad? Do you ever do an exit ticket version?
Yeah, so we're about to do that as well. Put that on the back end of that, so the kids will. We're starting to encourage the kids on the way out to be able to tap where they're at, and if they've tapped in that they're feeling great and they're feeling unbelievable, then they can actually walk around and not tap any. And vice versa, if they've come in sad, now it's horrible, then we'll know because there will have been an eruption of some sort.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, going back to your hallway, active hallway, how do you advocate for the line to get put down on the floor for the students to do different movements? How do you encourage that? And how do you get administration to buy into that and help you put all that down?
Yeah, it was probably really showing the video first that I found in Canada to the administration, saying, look, this is something that's really important to me, to be able to use this space. You know, this space was pretty boring. Teachers were just dumping crap out there all the time. And but, you know, I've also got a very, very supportive principal that understands the journey we're on. Getting the students to buy in, you got to tell them a story. You know, my prep, it's all about the pirates have hidden a treasure. My grade 3-4s, you know, their secret, what's the word? Tom Cruise, what are they? Secret hero? No, not secret heroes. They're spies. And then, sorry, I had a mind block then. And yeah, spies, but they're heading out. They're trying to find the secret jewels and stuff like that. So those lines are laser beams that they're over and under and around and stuff like that. So it's getting the kids to tell the stories, but also then we use them through those physical snacks, write them up, keep asking them. You know, I'd take the kids back to classrooms through all the different hallways as well, which makes it really interesting for them.
Okay. Somebody wanted clarification on FUNN. They knew you wasn't a typo, but what exactly do you mean by those letters?
So functional understanding, not necessary. Oh, I forgot to explain that. So functional understanding, not necessary. It means that we can actually provide an activity where a child can get out and understand how to do it through their own interpretation.
Okay. So basically they create their own necessary movement to get the activity done.
Absolutely.
Okay. And is there a place where they can see the PERMA model and get that information from you?
Yeah. Let me post that on the Padlet.
Okay.
Yep.
Going back. The animation you made at the beginning, that was made with people wanted to know?
Yeah, so we did Adobe Illustrator and then Adobe Photoshop and then Adobe Character Animator.
Okay, and I think that's it. That's what we got.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I've just posted there onto the Padlet, then the PERMA model with the positive psychology.
Yep, I see that. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So thank you so much. I know it's already Sunday here, and I can tell you from my perspective, Sunday's looking pretty good. So you guys are set up for a nice Sunday. But as always, it's just an absolute honour for you to be able to have me involved and you know, have that chat as well. And hopefully everyone's got at least one thing out of that they can take and put into your classrooms when school starts.
Yeah. All right. So one real quick last chance for questions. Looks like we're good and great. So remember, you can see, or I'm going to take that off so that we're good. Okay. So remember, you can receive a certificate of participation by going to the ESPEChat website and clicking on the summit page. And then the link for the certificate will be up there and ready to go. Thank you again, Andy, for not only being here and sharing your wisdom with us, but also letting us know that Sunday's awesome in your time machine.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Remember, you can watch this session over and over again. You can bump those numbers up super high, make ESPEChat look awesome. You can find these online on the ESPEChat website as well as YouTube. This is our last session. We closed it out and we went out with a bang. So thank you, Andy, again for being here. And that's it.
No worries. Thank you so much. And yeah, see you later from Australia.
Bye-bye.